Good night, if you are in this part of the world. So somebody already there. Hello. Okay, so this live is perfect for the teachers that are following me from Latin America, the States, and Asia, Australia. Okay, it's good to try different times. Oh, even Italy is following now with Luisa. Hello. Okay, let's see how it goes, because I opened this program called Hum, which is this sound that we always have, when we are even soothing ourselves or singing around, ciao Luisa, or when we are humming around the house. But it's also this lovely sound that we have in circle singing when we are all together resonating. So this program is a lot about the inner vibration that we can activate, and then the response that our body can give to that. So tonight is day 2. And I'm going to be live for 5 days with this week. I started yesterday, and you can find the live in Instagram, in my feed, okay? Or also I sent it via newsletter. And tonight is about leadership, okay? So yesterday we started with something quite fun. It was about why our music teachers or facilitators are so tired. And today instead the title is You Are a Leader. Actually, why you are a leader, even if you don't call yourself a leader, even if you don't use this type of word to describe yourself. Okay, so I'm going to start. It's not too long tonight, guys, or today for you, if you are if it's morning for you. It's not too long, but I'm gonna touch a few points. And I'm going to leave you with an open question at the end. Okay, so first of all, let's reframe the word leadership, okay? So before we start, I want to clarify this point. When we hear the word leadership, we immediately think of, and now I know you can write what we're thinking of. We're thinking of power, hierarchy, managing a team, being in charge in general, being loud, dominant, potentially arrogant. And let's say the truth, we don't have great leaders also, politically speaking. So the word leadership is not associated with something positive. And that's why tonight I'm going to try to bring this vision to another point, okay? Because when we hear those words, teachers, facilitators, musicians, we immediately feel uncomfortable, right? Because we confuse this leadership with arrogance or with authority imposed from above, with ego, with control. But this is not the type of leadership that we're talking about today, okay? Because for me, leadership in the sense that is useful for us, music teachers, promoting our work, learning how to communicate about our work, learning how to write a newsletter, learning how to lead a group, learning how to create our movement, okay? So this type of leadership is never about having all the answers, or being perfect, or never doubting ourselves, okay? I'm the queen of doubting myself and, far from being perfect. So, but I do run a movement, and my leadership is very clear and direct. So let's start understanding that if you have been thinking, I'm not a leader because I'm just a teacher, or a facilitator, or a music therapist, this live is for you, okay? Because for me, leadership is actually about beginning to understand how you see and how you guide yourself, okay? So whether you like it or not, you are already guiding yourself. Okay, so you are leading yourself in a way when you present your work, when you are speaking about your work with families or with your clients, when you are positioning yourself, when you are running a class, when you identify with something else, when you identify with a role, when you identify with an idea of yourself, when you identify with the voices in your brain, in your mind, that maybe are not even your original voices, you are already guiding something. And that something is you. Okay? At least, the very least thing that you are guiding is you. So you are always guiding yourself when you, for example, decide the boundaries of your project. When you take a decision, when you accept a work or you don't accept that work, when you say yes to something or when you say no because you understand that that's better to avoid. Okay? So from there, your leadership naturally extends outward. Okay? Hola todo. So your students feel it. The people around you feel it as well. Colleagues feel it. Friends, partner, families. Your online audience feel it too. Even when you're not saying it specifically, when you're not saying it explicitly, you're still leading and guiding somehow people to see yourself. So there is a very important definition and difference between a conscious versus an unconscious leadership. Okay, unconscious leadership sounds like, I don't want to bother people. I'll adapt to what other people want. I don't want to take too much space. I'm just gonna say yes and being a good girl. Or who am I to say this? Who am I to write that? Who am I to think that I will be able to do that? And this shapes the way in which you communicate, the way in which you show up, even the way in which you decide to set the boundaries for your studio or for your school. Okay? Even when you decide that what is the structure for your trial classes, even when you decide how to communicate your decisions to your group, to your team, or to your clients, okay? That is unconscious, potentially, leadership. You can still have leadership that is kind of working against you. Not great. Instead, what is conscious leadership? Conscious leadership is when you're starting saying, I want to understand what I am already embodying. I want to take the responsibility for the space I hold, for my actions, and for the way in which I am projecting myself out. I want to communicate in a way that matches who I am. So this is not becoming someone else. This is simply about becoming aware of who you are and where you're standing from. And this is incredibly important. So the difference from unconscious leadership and conscious leadership is incredible. And it makes such huge difference in the power in which you can convert, in the power in which you can manifest your ideas and your projects, and really the way in which other people will start seeing you, okay? But it has to start from the place where you are able to see yourself. So, to recap, there is no people that are not leading somehow. We are all projecting a way in which we are guiding at least ourselves out there in the world in which we are moving around the world, but we also have an unconscious way of guiding ourselves and leading ourselves, or a conscious way in which we lead ourselves. Now, teachers, facilitators, musicians, music therapists, we are leaders all the time. This is something that we do all the time. We teach. So if you teach, if you facilitate, if you're guiding a group, a class, a workshop, or even getting bigger and bigger, your community, your online movement, okay, you are in a position of leadership, whether you like it or not. So you influence how people see you, how people will be curious about what you do or not, how much they can trust you, how much they relate to your teaching. And this is a huge opportunity for us, right? And honestly, it's much better, it's much more convenient to carry that possibility, that opportunity with consciousness, okay, than to pretend it doesn't exist, than to pretend that I'm just a music teacher, I'm not a leader, I'm just a music therapist, I'm not guiding anybody. So leadership doesn't start when you grow big, but it starts with the smallest interactions. And that's the way in which you are actually starting developing it for yourself, okay? Sometimes I suggest to the people that are in my business programs, use Instagram as a diary. If you want to start working and start speaking about yourself on Instagram and developing your project online, potentially reaching your ideal client, okay, why don't you start by simply analyzing your thoughts, your emotions, your projects, your sessions on Instagram? Because that's what I do every day. That's exactly what I do every day. Obviously I really refined my way of communicating, but the way in which I started and the way in which I grew my brand and my business was by simply using Instagram as a diary. And if you are a neurodivergent person like me, using Instagram as a tool to motivate you and engage you and help you to stop procrastinating potentially, well, why not? Okay, I did a session a while ago that was called body doubling, and it's now in the hub. If you don't know what body doubling is, go and have a look. But body doubling is a strategy that people, especially people with ADHD, uses a lot to motivate themselves, focus, concentrate, and do not keep procrastinating. Okay, and body doubling can be going to work in a cafe or doing homeworks, for kids, for example, with ADHD, doing homeworks in the table of the kitchen with people around helps them to focus. Or, for example, having their mom or their dad close to them when they are doing homeworks, even writing something on their own computer. Okay, so body doubling is a strategy that we can use to really, really focus more and get to the point. And so I realized that I was using Instagram in that way without being aware of what body doubling was before actually understanding one of the ADHDers strategies was body doubling. So I realized, social medias are my body doubling because obviously I get that little spark of dopamine that helps me to carry on when somebody likes my story or where somebody interacts with me, send me a message. So I'm kind of motivated of continuing, but at the same time, knowing that somebody else will read what I'm writing, is a way for me to carry on doing it. Okay? So, yeah, this is another way in which we can potentially discover something about ourselves and our way of leading and communicating. Another thing that is very important to speak about for me when we talk about leadership is that leadership is not just about direction and guidance and clear ideas, but is about permission. Okay, the permission to really take ourselves seriously, to imagine different possibilities for us, the permission to be clearer with what we want and say, I don't want this anymore. What do I do to change this? You know, when I moved from Italy to Spain, that was my first move before the UK. I received a lot of messages from people saying, oh, you're so strong, you're so brave that you moved outside of Italy. And yes, of course, in that moment when I took the decision of going, my leadership was very strong. But my answer was always like, I think you're stronger than me, because it's harder to stay in that situation where I didn't want to stay. So it is about giving us the permission to believe that what we are imagining for ourselves is important, even if we're not important people. Okay? So when we are choosing alignment over survival, we are silently telling ourselves we are worth it. This is allowed. And this is one of the most important steps that we have to do to continue working in that direction. So, just to go from the very beginning, leadership is always present, whether you want it or not, whether you like to call it like that or not. You are guiding always, at least yourself. So then make sure, am I consciously leading myself or am I unconsciously leading myself? Because there is a difference there. And then my way of leading is actually bringing out the best for me or the worst. Am I stuck somewhere, or can I actually give myself a permission to be who I would like to be? Now, I'm going to leave you with a small reflection with a couple of questions that you can let resonate in your process of humming. Okay, that's why the name of this program now, that I said is going to continue for 3 more days. First question for yourself. How are you leading right now? Consciously or unconsciously? Or are you in the middle? Because I remember when I was in the middle. Okay, first I remember very clearly when I was not conscious of what the hell I was doing in my life. I was just going ahead, bum, just repeating, keep going, with all the patterns, all my blocks, all my bad ways of communicating. That was a totally unconscious way of leading my life, which brought me to, positive things, obviously, as well, but because there was a lot of energy there. But at the same time, burnout, more than one. Broken relationships, more than one. Uncomfortable situations. So that was an unconscious way of leading myself until my body was like, okay, done. Until I got to a point in which I was like, yes, okay, now I really need to change this thing that is happening to me. In my case, it was when ADHD, the diagnosis of ADHD arrived, and oh my God, it was like in Italian we say un lampo a ciel sereno, like a thunder in a blue sky, okay? Like a lightning in a blue sky when you're like, oh my God, really? There is this? And I've never really taken this in consideration. I didn't even know. So what am I going to do with this? Is this affecting me? How? Okay, and each of us have something, but it doesn't need to be a disability or a neurodivergence, but we all have our own blocks. And so once we have seen them, we can slowly start working on them. So I would say that now, 2.5 years after my diagnosis, and after working so much from moving to unconscious to conscious leadership, I can really see a huge difference in the way my business is developing, my self-awareness is developing, my communication, not just in business, but with my daughter, with my partner. The pieces of a puzzle are finally getting together, not because I simply let things keep going, but because I decided to roll up my sleeves and said, okay, let's stop being an asshole here. An asshole to myself and an asshole to our people. Okay, so if you just joined now, you will find this the recording of this session here. And in the meantime, I would like to suggest you to, if you haven't done it before, to go and have a look at my last carousels, because those are the stories of 2 people that have worked with me in the last year, because we started exactly this work with one of them a year ago and the other one even less. And the transformation that understanding that what we talk about tonight really made in their life, because they started really seeing themselves, their potential, their blocks, and the transformation in their business, but not only in their whole life, have been incredible. So tonight I told you some of my story, but you can also see the story of somebody else that has worked with me in Spark lately. So that can be interesting, potentially, for you. And I want to close with this. The thing is, to become a leader, to be a leader, you don't have to become a leader. You already are. You already are leading. The real work is deciding how you want to lead. Okay. Thank you for being here. I hope you will find this little live useful for yourself. And I will see you tomorrow with another live, the 3rd of the 5 lives that I'm going to do for this new free program called Hum. Okay? And that's it. Hasta luego. If you have any questions, if you have any comment, write below or text me, write me in DM. And if you are receiving my newsletter, obviously you will receive also the video of this live. And by the way, these sessions that I'm doing right now will be available on my Instagram only for a few days, and then they go straight into the hub, which is this place where teachers share, teachers meet, where we grow together, when we talk about these things, but not only, because we also talk a lot about teaching and practical things about facilitating teaching. So it's really the place where at the moment 65 people are subscribed, and it's so cool. We're growing together. This Thursday, for the first time, we have a session, Friday, we have a session not led by me. So every month there is a training, a Zoom training. And this month, this training is going to be led by one of the participants that is going to speak about mindfulness, the type of mindfulness and type of exercises that he uses to start his lesson, more calm and more centered. And then I will give him some feedbacks and turn his presentation into a training for him and for the others. So I'm very much looking for it. And so Spark, they will be all in Spark, but in the hub. So yeah, I will see you tomorrow for another live. Good night if it's night for you, or have a lovely day if it's before I said actually that this was a good time for people in the US, but absolutely not. It's already in the middle of the night there. This is a live perfect for people that live in the other side of the world. So I'll see you tomorrow again for another one. Bye bye.